Hi guys, it's April and I have another review for you. I am on a roll. The wonderful people at Sunlife Drawing sent me a couple of their coloring books just to try out so I could see and feel out what they're all about. And so this is going to be my flat out honest review of primarily the Animal Quest color by numbers because I have never done a color by number before and I got really excited when I saw this. They also have other traditional coloring books. This is a Sugar Skull one where you have the traditional color in, fill in the spaces however you so desire. And I think it's cute. It is very cute. But my focus today will be on this one. This one right here because I like it. So I decided I was going to try this coloring book with a couple different mediums. Of course, I have my traditional markers with both alcohol-based and water-based markers, just Sharpie markers and your Stadler fiber tip markers. And then, of course, I have some gel pens that I tried and colored pencils. I think that covers a large range of traditional medium that people usually use in coloring books. I don't have watercolor in here because I am no way qualified to test anything out with watercolor. That is just not something I have any skills in. So these are going to be the 4 mediums that I used in this coloring book. So a first thing of note, just opening up this coloring book and just starting out and checking it out, is that everything is very clearly laid out. It is nice readable fonts. I have no complaint there. The only thing I noticed right away is that this is very thin paper. And I knew it was gonna cause me some trouble with some of the things that I like to use. This is just basic copy paper. That is all it is. Now, if you're using things like colored pencils and crayons, it's not gonna cause you a lot of problems, but with some of the wetter medium, like the markers and the gel pens, this you're gonna have to keep your eye on. And that's why I wanted to test a range of different products on this coloring book. Now, as you can see, this is how it's basically laid out. You've got your colors along the side with your numbers, and you can swatch the colors so that you know what you're using. And then you've got this really fine grid of numbers that you just start filling out. There is no set way that you have to do this. You don't have to do all one color and then all another color. You can bounce around if you want, and that is traditionally how I like to color. I see bright shiny objects in one corner and so I'm off in that direction, and that's how I did it. So I started out my coloring journey in this coloring book with gel pens. Gel pens were actually really fun to use in this because it gave you a nice saturated color tone and you really started to see the images come through. I loved how it all started to play out. The gel pens didn't go through too badly, but you started to see some shadowing going on. But I didn't even have to put a protector sheet in between with the gel pens. I got a little worried there for a little bit, but it didn't bleed all the way through. You just got some serious shadowing going on. And then I decided to jump back into the more traditional coloring medium, and that of course was colored pencil. Didn't hate how the colored pencils went down. I'm just not a really big colored pencil user. I don't have a lot of practice with it. I wanted more of a solid fill for these because I can still see a lot of the numbering coming through and it's not as saturated as I want it to be, but that is not the coloring book's fault. And of course, the colors went down very nicely, no complaints there, and no trouble on the back with colored pencils. And then I went to my favorite medium of choice, and that, of course, was marker. This is the Stadler fiber tip markers. Nothing super special there. I loved how the color went down. There was some tricks to getting some of the bigger fill areas. It was fun, but yeah, you had to put a protector sheet in between because it was just gonna go through really bad. And as you can see with the next one, this is my Sharpie marker page. I love how saturated and how fun this ended up turning out, but there is in no way you are going to save the back of that page. I can't even read the legend anymore. And luckily in this coloring book, all of the pages use the same colors with the same numbers, so it didn't really hurt me. But if it had been something that the color palette changed according to what the picture was, I might have been in some serious trouble. Which brings me to another point with this coloring book. I liked and disliked the fact that the color palette numbering system was always the same, and here's why. I had great fun choosing my colors and swatching them out to see how they look together, because you could use a whole ton of different tones with colors. But then, if you didn't thoroughly look at the picture before you started coloring with it, some of these colors will not show up in the coloring page depending on which page you choose. Which made me a little sad, because I wanted to use some greens in here, but there was no greens. I went through all the effort of finding the greens, and there was no greens. That's just more of a personal preference. I got really excited about the fact that I was gonna get to use all of these colors, and then I didn't get to use all of these colors. So it was a very fun experience coloring through these pages. I had great fun trying to figure out what I was coloring, how it was going to turn out, but the quality of the paper is a little hindering at times, just because I like to use wet mediums. If you like to use colored pencils, you're gonna have no problem with these whatsoever. The only other thing, the only final thing that I want to mention is the fact that at the back of the coloring books, there is so much space dedicated to ads. There is 13 pages that just steps you through all of the other coloring books, which I think is great to get out there what your other pages are, but I feel like a good chunk of this coloring book was dedicated to try and get you to buy yet another coloring book. So maybe if there was 1 or 2 pages explaining what the next coloring book was, and I got more of those color by number pages, I would be thrilled. Overall, I did enjoy coloring in this coloring book. If you want something that is more of a building process and not necessarily something that you have full control over, color by number is fun, but like I said, they have a whole range of other products. If you want to check them out, I will link them down below. They're very accessible coloring books. If you're just looking for something quick to pick up, the paper quality I'm not exactly thrilled about, but for what they are very, very fun to color in. And if you're looking for a color by number book, this is great fun. Great fun. I don't have much complaint about the technique of color by numbers. It was something new. Would it be something that I picked up for myself? Probably not, because I do like more of an artistic control, but for something just to take my mind off of and something puzzle-like, this is what I would go to. And so that is Animal Quest Color by Number by Sunlife Drawing. Like I said, I will leave the information about these coloring books down below. I heart your beautiful faces.